Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Make Gains. Today we are going to be talking about financial red flags in relationships. Let's get into it.
One of the biggest reasons I see people getting a divorce is due to financial abuse. My name is Lily. I've been a family law attorney for over 6 years now, and in my opinion, you should always know what your finances are. If you are currently married and your husband does not allow you to see the finances, does not allow you on the bank account, does not allow you to look at the mortgage statements, does not allow you to look at the credit card statements, does not put you on as a joint owner of the bank account that his full paychecks are going into, or a joint creditor on the credit card, that is a huge red flag. Huge red flag. If you are currently married and your husband does not allow you to have any sort of access to any of the financial accounts, go get access. Insist on it. Don't be afraid of him. If you're afraid of him, you should not be in that relationship. If you're too afraid to ask for access to a bank account or a credit card account, you should not be in that relationship. You should never feel scared of your significant other.
Facts.
So you need to insist on it. Insist that you have access and you be added to the bank accounts, the credit card accounts. You should know what is going on and what the finances are. You should not be given an allowance from your husband. Now that's different to say you guys discuss and work out, a budget for the month. That's fine. That's healthy. But you're fully aware of what the finances are, you have access to them, you're on the accounts, and you guys both agree that you have a monthly budget. That's normal and that's fine. What he can't do is him have all access to all of the accounts, all of the money, and then only provide you a specific allowance each and every month for you to do with how you see fit. No.
Yeah, that is a huge red flag. You definitely never want to be afraid of the person that you're dating or you're married to. In a marriage relationship, it should be viewed as a partnership, right? Someone who is not willing to share with you how they spend or not willing to give you access, there's definitely issues there. That's something that you need to work out. You should demand access because that's part of the trust and transparency in that marriage relationship. Now, I think things are different in dating relationships, obviously. Thinking about a budget, that's the only way you should ever have an allowance in a marriage relationship, right? Because you're budgeting, you have a certain amount that you spend on different things. But I was listening to Dave Ramsey, and he had a caller where the lady said, my husband is only giving me a few $100s to spend on groceries, and it's not enough. I don't know how much money we have. That kind of stuff is a major problem. He's treating her like a child, and that's not the way the relationship should be. So that's a huge red flag.
How they talk about money says a lot. If he's bragging constantly, he's probably broke. If he never talks about it, he might be hiding something, whether it's good or bad. If he's obsessed with other people's money, that's jealousy incoming. Financial transparency is a top predictor of long-term relationship success.
Yeah, there are a few things she talked about. The jealousy, I don't necessarily think that's always true, but if you're in a dating relationship, ideally the person you're dating is not focused on what other people are doing, right? You want somebody who's humble, self-focused, and I think being driven is perfectly fine. But yeah, bragging is not a great quality.
My husband spends on average about $1,000 a month at gas stations for snacks, drinks. A majority of that is for chewing tobacco. My question is, how can I help him work towards becoming more financially responsible so that we're not worrying how we're going to make it till the end of the month with bills and other priorities?
How long has this been going on?
It's been going on for a few years. It has gotten worse, though, within the last year or so.
Is he using more chewing tobacco? What do you think the problem is there?
Definitely more chewing tobacco. He goes through maybe 2 to 3 cans a day, and that can be pretty pricey. It hurts us financially, as you could probably imagine.
I assume you've had conversations with him about this. How do those go?
They don't go very well. It usually starts an argument.
All right. This is a red flag, folks. So if you're in a dating relationship, you need to be well aware that if the person you're dating has some habits that is going to carry over into a marriage relationship if you get married, obviously. Some things you need to think about. There's a handful of habits like the one that she described. The ones that come to mind off the top, you've got smoking, you've got drinking, you've got tobacco usage, gambling, and then lottery. We're not talking about just usage for these things. We're talking about addiction. And then obviously drug addiction is a whole nother red flag. But some of these are very common. And I will tell you from personal experience that these are a big red flag and they will make a huge difference in your financial situation. So in this channel, we're all about making gains and we focus primarily on finances, right? Besides most of these things being bad for your health, they're going to make a huge difference whenever you think about the span of a marriage relationship to the tune of potentially millions of dollars. So like smoking cigarettes for one, the range for smoking is about $300 to $500 a month. And that's for somebody smoking, like a pack a day. So you get into more than that, it could be $1,000 a month. I had a close family member who smoked packs a day. I've had 2 family members in that situation. Not only is it going to cost you a lot of money you could be saving or using for other necessities, but it's also going to cost you your health. Whenever you're dating someone, you need to consider that this habit I'm seeing right now, this person looks perfectly healthy. If they carry this into your marriage and don't stop, especially if they're smoking a pack a day or more, then chances are in 20, 30 years, they're going to start developing some serious consequences for those actions. So you've not only got to deal with the financial consequences, you've got to deal with health consequences as well, which also could end up meaning that you are a widow at some point earlier than you would expect. It's a really difficult thing to deal with because it doesn't just mean they're going to pass away. It could also mean a long time frame of declining health, which is a bad situation. That's what I saw with my 2 family members. Drinking can be just as expensive, $200 to $1,000 plus a month, depending on the level we're talking about. Chewing tobacco, just like the lady said in the prior video, $1,000 could be per month. Gambling is another one where you can find stories of people losing their homes because of gambling, right? So it's not just a small thing, so like there's sports betting where that could be anywhere from hundreds to thousands per month. And then there's bigger gambling where people lose cars, homes. So that's a very serious red flag. Lottery tickets, some people spend $5 a month, but then whenever you're talking about the addictions, then it's hundreds, potentially thousands per month. So those are things that while you're dating may not seem like a big deal, but those are definitely some financial red flags where you're going to have major consequences going into your relationship.
Listen to me carefully. Stop dating financially unstable people. You are not Bob the Builder. Can we fix them? No, we can't. Sex and money consistently rank as the top 2 reasons why couples fight. And money said, I'm top 2 and I'm not 2. Why would you want to build the foundation of your house on uneven ground and then worse, get the government involved so that you're legally bound together? I'm not saying you should only date rich people. But to be financially stable, you do need to have a plan and you definitely need to have the talk. If you wait until after you're married to ask, do you have debt or what's your net worth, you're making a huge mistake. If someone's financial goals don't align with yours, they're probably not a good match.
So this one is a very simple thing. Not being willing to have that conversation is a red flag. Financial instability is definitely a red flag. You want to make sure that the person you're marrying is not someone who's willy-nilly with money. While that might seem like a simple thing, it's really not. The spending habits that come along with financial instability are going to impact your relationship, especially if the fact that you're watching this channel right now tells me that you're someone who cares about your finances and you might be in a dating relationship. That person you're dating, constantly little brown boxes showing up at their door, if they're constantly going shopping, if they have a room dedicated to clothes, that's a major red flag. If they have a pair of shoes for every day of the month, red flag. There are tons of these little habits you can see in a dating relationship that can cause you major problems whenever you get married, because as your salary increases, these habits don't go away. They just get amplified. So that $100 purse becomes a $700 purse. That car payment, the old Mustang becomes a new Mustang. These are bad habits will most likely continue. Now, I'm not saying you can't improve. Everybody can take a Dave Ramsey course and improve their relationship with money. But if you have a bad relationship with money in your dating relationship, that will carry over. So I do think that having those conversations about, are you willing to have a budget? Do you have a budget? Are you saving? Do you have a 401k? Those are definitely conversations you need to have while you're dating. Now, I'm not saying show me your tax returns, but it is important to have those conversations and know where you both stand on money and how you want to approach money in your relationship. Knowing that whenever you get married, you're both going to agree to a budget and that you're going to stick to that. That's a super important thing as you're looking at marriage with someone or spending the rest of your life with someone.
And he's like, yo, I like this girl, but she like to spend money, which is fine. Like, I'm not saying don't spend your money, but is that aligned with what your goals are? Is that aligned with where you want to be? Let her spend her money. That's her money. She can do whatever she wants. But just know, when y'all come together, that she going to still keep those habits. And if you make more money,
she going to keep those habits. You know what I'm saying?
Those habits are still going to develop and they're still going to be the same. So knowing who that person is, asking the question, like, what is your long-term vision for not even just, marriage or anything like that? Like, what do you want to do? Who are you as a person? It has to come down to, what are y'all talking about outside of sex, outside of that stuff?
Thanks.
What are y'all talking about, right? So if we're talking about, all right, she just likes to spend money, and you don't like to spend money, how are we going to figure that out together? You can't build wealth if one person's going the opposite direction as you.
That's 100%. The more you can have those conversations and know each other's goals, the better you'll be. If you are not aligned on the way that you're saving your money and your goals for the future, then it's going to be a rough path. If you want to retire early, but their plan is to spend everything and keep working, that's going to build major frustration in your relationship. You definitely want to put all that out on the table before you enter into a marriage relationship.
If you're dating someone, these are 5 financial red flags to look out for. This is coming from one of the largest finance podcasters in the country. Number 1 is they still use their ex's Netflix password. Now, I know this is a very small thing, but if this is still going on, what else are they using from them? And if they can't pay for their own Netflix and they are still mooching off an old relationship, that is a problem. Number 2 is they think credit cards are free money. This is a huge problem because if you decide to marry someone you are in a relationship with and they have credit card debt and they continue to go deeper into credit card debt, that credit card debt now is going to become your problem as well. So you need to make sure that you talk to someone who is using credit cards freely and not paying them back. Number 3 is they avoid talking about money completely. This is a massive red flag, and a lot of this has to do with how people were brought up, where they think talking about money is taboo, but you need to have open and honest conversations about money when you are in a relationship, especially if you want to build wealth together. You're building this life together long term, and so if you're in that relationship, you need to make sure this person is on the same page as you. Number 4 is they flex purchases, but they have no money in their savings. If they make big purchases all the time, they flex those big purchases. Maybe it's a new car, maybe it is buying brand new furniture. It doesn't matter what it is. If they are flexing big purchases but not their bank account, that is a huge problem. And number 5 is they are uncomfortable with you making more. This is a huge red flag, and you need to get to the bottom of this if this is the case, because if they are uncomfortable with how much money you make, you need to make sure that you have conversations about this. You need to figure out why they feel this way, why they are insecure with money, why they are insecure with themselves, and why they are insecure if their partner is making more.
Yeah. So his number 2 and number 4 go really well together, right? If they're spending money on credit cards and acting like this is free money, big problem. That normally goes with the flexing piece, right? If you are using purchases to signal something to other people, that's a problem. Not only is that a confidence issue, but that is a red flag for the way that person is going to handle finances in marriage. Flexing a bank account, I think, is a great way to put that, right? Because that's what me and my wife are aligned on, where we want to be. We have certain things that we value spending money on and certain things that we don't. So it's not wrong to spend your money, right? it's definitely signaling a confidence issue. And that is probably something that you want to address. Like, why do you feel the need to wear these watches when you don't make a lot of money or when you don't have things in savings? If you got money in savings and you want to spend money on a nice car, a nice watch, or nice clothes, yeah, sure, go for it. But if you're going into debt to do those things, that is a problem. And if they have a problem with you making more, then that's also a confidence issue, right? I mean, you hear about a lot of guys having that problem. I think you really need to consider in your heart why you have that problem. But if you're in a dating relationship and that other person has an issue with that, then you definitely need to address that and figure out what the issue is. I think, if you're considering marrying this person, be sure to go through marriage counseling and make sure that's a topic you're talking about, because you definitely don't want to get in a relationship where they're bitter with you because you make more, whether it's a guy or a girl. Normally you see that with guys, but it could happen the other way, I suppose. But make sure you address these things. Now, using somebody's Netflix account, if you're young, I don't see a huge issue with that, but get your own Netflix account. Come on, be an adult.
4 financial red flags when you're dating. Number 1, they never want to talk about money or share information about where they're at financially. So listen, don't be weird, and on the first date ask like how much is in their 401k and if you can see their tax return. Don't be weird. But later on in the relationship, as it's getting more serious, if they don't want to talk about it ever and don't want you to know anything, massive red flag. Number 2, that your values don't align. If you are someone that maybe you don't want debt to be part of your life, but yet they use debt to do everything in their life, maybe an issue. Number 3, if they're an extreme saver or spender. When it becomes extremes on both sides, it's very unhealthy. You want a good balance of both, and if they can't seem to budge on either end, I would dig into that. And number 4, if they're not generous. Being a generous person is going to be a sign of who they are in a relationship. And again, with money, that's just going to be an element of that, but you're actually going to be able to see their heart in that and what they prioritize and what they value overall. I know those are not just black and white red flags, because you're dealing with a person, and that's important to remember. But also know that money fights and money problems is one of the main reasons for divorce in America today. So it is a part of your relationship that you want to be on the same page with before you take the relationship to the next level.
Yeah, I think the generosity piece is probably the biggest one that I want to pull away from that conversation. Obviously, we already talked about being willing to have the money talks. Somebody who's not willing to speak about money or their finances signals a problem there. There may be massive debt or no savings, so there could be some embarrassment there. So you definitely want to have those conversations. You definitely want to know where your partner stands on all those things. But probably the biggest one is the generosity piece, because if someone's unwilling to be generous, that speaks to their heart. I always talk about how money is a tool. We want to use money for experiences to enable things in our lives. But one of the biggest things we can use money to enable is us being able to be generous and help other people. As you're considering walking through life with another person, you definitely want to make sure that they are generous, because at the end of the day, we can't take any of this with us. Being able to use your money to help someone else, few things are more gratifying than that. So think about that as you're going through relationships. If you see any of these red flags, it doesn't mean you necessarily need to break up. No, it definitely means that you need to be willing to have a conversation and stand your ground with those too. The last thing you want to do is to enter into a long-term relationship with someone who is gonna be financially abusive, or somebody who's in massive amounts of debt and is unwilling to change, or someone who's building habits that are gonna crush you financially, or someone who's unwilling to be generous and love on others. Think about these things. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. We'd love to have you along for the journey. And if you think anybody that you know would like to listen to this, share it and hit that like button. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.